Good morning, good day, good evening to you out there and to our wonderful listeners. Hello, Caroline.
Hello, Christopher. Hello, everyone from California in the rain, which is very welcome given the fires recently in southern.
Oh, yes, I believe that. Oh my, yeah.
So grateful for that today and that moment with you where we'll have a nice chat again.
Yes. And our today's topic will might be very interesting for many of our listeners. It's actually universally usable.
Yes.
And the topic is decluttering for a freer and lighter life.
Yes.
So, decluttering, I think it's pretty straightforward what we mean with that. Caroline, what what do you think most of our listeners
Mhm.
think of when they think of decluttering?
Yeah, some people might think about these shows where other people are hoarding. So they're called
Oh,
hoarders. They stack up so many things, magazine, books. They can't even circulate in their home. So that becomes extreme and dangerous, actually. So that's a very extreme version of that. But most of us, Christopher, kind of deal with some level of clutter at some point in our life. Too much of stuff, and it gets in the way, and it's
hmm,
disorganized usually. So when we think of clutter, it's usually something obstructing a space, or yeah, things are piling up basically in a way that's no longer functional.
right. And you
So
mentioned abstract things that are obstructing. I love that because
yeah,
when we today want to talk about decluttering, we not only mean the physical space, we also mean our mental space. And
yes,
so there are so many things in our mental space that get into the way
yes.
when
You're
we try to navigate.
You're absolutely right. They kind of go hand in hand, actually.
Mm.
Notice if, whenever you had times when your space was cluttered, was your mind cluttered too, and vice versa. I noticed that for myself. I feel like if I'm starting to clear my space in my home by organizing things in a functional way, by, downsizing, then my mind is clearer too. I can think more clearly because I can see more clearly.
Yes. Wow. That's a great example. Right. So, physical clutter, we will touch on that. We
Yeah.
will touch on mental clutter. We
Yes.
will also touch on relationships,
Yes.
clutter there. And yes,
And
and we will
digital.
exactly, thank you. We will also touch digital clutter, which also is very in time
Yes.
today. So let's try um, beginning with the mental clutter. So the idea is okay, um, excessive weight, a
Mm.
mental weight.
Yes.
So if I can relate to myself here, um, if your brain is foggy and full of if you're thinking about say things that could happen, uh,
Mhm.
if you're unsure, oh, if you have a bad um, if your mind is in the past, if you're uh, thinking of
You're
things that
ruminating.
you could have said, should have said, and yes, ruminating. There's a
Yes.
lot of stuff that's in the way for you to have a clearer mind and make better decisions, right?
Yes. It happens to so many of us at some point, right?
Hmm.
But decluttering is really about letting go of what no longer serves us. How do those ruminations serve us, right? They're just
Hmm.
creating guilt or more yucky feelings. So we need to let go of them by meditation, which is the best mental decluttering technique that I know.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell me what you think. But you're right. The ruminations about the past or apprehensions about the future, that's not even
Hmm.
there yet. So that clutters the space and we can't even function. It clutters our mental space that needs to be available to problem solve in the now,
Hmm.
to enjoy life in the now.
Yes. And actually, I wonder if we should have started with the physical space decluttering, because
Mm-hmm.
when you declutter, um, you mentioned that you were decluttering a room,
Yes.
for
Yes.
example. So how do you do when you do that? How do you actually physically go forward?
Yeah. I certainly don't want to claim to be an expert on this, but I will share my own process and I would love to
Hmm.
hear yours too, Christopher, because I actually tend to be a little bit of a clutterer or a hoarder. I would say a collector. I prefer that term. It's less pejorative. Let's say I collect things because maybe who knows, it might be helpful in the future, useful, or actually like how it looks. And look at that. I have other ones like that. So yeah, my family always made fun of me. Actually, I have quite a reputation about gathering stuff because I like stuff. I'm sentimental. I cling on to stuff a lot. So for me, it's a big challenge to declutter. I really
Hmm.
have to prepare myself mentally, but I follow some of the experts' advice on going one corner at a time. Sometimes it's one drawer at a time. So we have to make it manageable because otherwise it becomes too overwhelming and intimidating. So for me, it's really about, okay, once the damage is done or the clutter is there, yeah, I try to reduce it little by little. I follow my own pace. I don't beat myself up. If I don't feel like I'm making enough progress, I take a break. And also the prevention piece is important. First of all, try not to accumulate too much, and um, that's the goal. That's what I'm trying to do gradually to be really mindful about what I consume, what I take in my home, because people might give me stuff, but sometimes it's better to just give it back to someone if you don't feel like you're going to use it and not feel guilty about that, because the gift is actually a vehicle for gratitude. What the person is really giving you is an opportunity to be grateful. So
Hmm.
you thank the person for the gift, and if you don't have any use for it, then you find someone who will. So really learning to circulate the resources and the material objects. So that's kind of my approach. And yeah, making sure that also we are mindful of the planet, like not throwing away things that actually could be helpful to someone. There are a lot of secondhand stores that we can drop those things off, or shelters, whether they are gently used clothes,
Hmm.
books, kitchen items. So that's kind of in a nutshell how I'm approaching that. How about you?
So let me just, yeah, okay. Uh, how about you? I might see, I'm not sure if that's actually true, but I might see a difference between men and women, the way how they hoard or
Okay,
clutter.
that's
Um,
it.
I think the emotional part with women might be stronger than with men. No,
Okay, okay.
if I think I'm not sure. Uh, and the practical stuff that men, I'm not even sure if that.
Mm,
However, this is my view. I don't, I'm not claiming that it's true, but the the way I see it is, oh, this might be good to have in the future, like
yeah,
tools or
yes.
stuff. Uh, and if I look back in my history, when I had a house with a big barn,
Mm-hmm.
where I could fill the whole barn with stuff that I found somewhere in a flea market or whatever, secondhand
Yeah.
shop.
Oh,
Oh, this is great to have. I could make this or that project
uh-huh.
with that one day, some day in the future, and then
Yes.
somehow magically the room you have tends to get filled, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Nature
the
avoid. Yeah.
what did you say?
Nature abhors a void.
Yeah, right.
We tend
So
to fill
the
up
the
space.
the the more room, the more space you have, the more you fill it.
Right.
That's
Yes.
true for me. So
For me too.
with every move, every time I moved, I thought, "Oh my God, this is so much stuff. I have to get rid of more." And
Yeah.
my last move 2 years ago, uh, it was really I I gave away so much stuff, unbelievable, and
Mm.
it was good. Then there's another um, thing, another technique that I heard of. Um, when you're moving and you have these cartons full of
Yeah.
stuff, and if you discover that you haven't even opened them after a year after the move,
Mhm. Right.
then you don't need it.
Yeah. Yes, I've heard of that too. Or if you see dust accumulating on something, that means you haven't used it in a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So there's plenty of uh, techniques that we can use, but what it is you, you physically take whatever
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
thinking of and you look at it and think, do I really use this?
Ah,
Do I want
yes.
to? And you mentioned that before. Uh, does this make me happy?
Ah, yes, yes.
And then if it does, right, keep it. If it doesn't,
Mm.
give it to someone that could be happy
Is that
about it.
I like that a lot, yeah, because there are a lot, of course, it's very emotional. So, yeah, bringing it back to the felt experience in front of the object is
Hmm.
important. It's an important parameter. And I'm wondering if you're referring to the Marie Kondo's method. Marie Kondo's method.
Yes, I've heard of her. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think she might have used that, but I'm not sure. But anyway,
Hmm.
something very similar. Yeah, going object by object and
Right.
deciding, how one feels about it, giving it away, keeping it unsure. Maybe there's a pile of unsure sometimes, but we
Yeah,
shouldn't
yeah.
wait for too long.
And
Yeah.
this brings me to the bridge over to the mental decluttering.
Yes.
And this
Yes.
is something that I love to use with my clients when they mention something what's keeping their minds going.
Yeah.
We look at this. Does this thought make you happy?
Wow. Yes.
And it's the same thing. You look at each and every thought that
Hmm.
you discover in your head, in your mind. Does this make you happy? Okay. Oh, if you're like, if you discover yourself um, talking about your neighbors,
Hmm.
um, and you discover, oh no, this doesn't make me happy. Actually, this is just gossip. Uh,
Yeah.
does gossip make you happy? No, usually it doesn't.
It
So
does.
why do it? Or if you're thinking of a past relationship or a missed chance or
Hmm.
something that might happen in the future, take every thought, look at it mentally,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
decide.
So,
Keep it.
Christopher, are you saying we should let go of self-criticism too?
What do you think?
Yeah, generally
Who?
people aren't too happy about that, right? They're
Well,
not very happy.
self-criticism. Yeah, that's a two. Well, it actually can
Well,
help, right? Well, self-criticism doesn't help.
no, that's
But
what I
what
mean.
does help is, can I become a better person by doing this? That
Yes.
would be a helpful thought.
Yes, more making it constructive. Okay, I made this mistake. How can I learn from it? Or yeah, make it
Wonderful.
better rather than like beating oneself up for it. That's
Right.
that we need to let go of. Yeah.
And while we're there, while we're in the self monologue or dialogue, however you want to see it,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
I have to do this and that.
Oh, yeah. 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 I know.
This is, people don't even realize how powerful that is in your, what is it you're manifesting there? I have to doesn't
Mm.
mean you want to do it, right? You're not
Yeah.
you're a victim.
Mm.
You're pressurized. You're pressed to do that.
Pressured.
You're pressured
Yes.
to do that. It's not your
Constraint.
own free will. But if you say, "I really
Yeah.
want to do this," that's something
Yes.
different.
Yes. I like that how you use the language because the choice of verb will have an impact. So it's better to
Mm,
say something like that. I really want to, I wish to, I intend to, because it
yes.
gives you a sense of agency rather than like, oh, I have to, I'm forced to.
Hmm.
I'm no, it's very disempowering, I think. So yeah, I like that. So maybe we can say, I wish to have a very clear space that will help me think clearly about everything else. And
Yes.
yeah, so then you
Right.
intend or you commit to bring more space in your life and
Hmm.
less clutter. Yeah.
I I have to clean up the kitchen.
Yes, that's a common script that most of us have, right? In a daily basis.
But I want to clean up the kitchen.
Yeah, because I want a clean counter
Yes.
space so I can see, so I can cook, so I can use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So, any more thoughts about this? Where were we
Yeah.
now? We were. I apologize, my to our listeners if we hop between the topics too much. But they're also interconnected, aren't they?
Yeah, I think everything we're talking about is related. It's really about having a better quality of life and mindful living. I think
Hmm.
it's all important. And I would say, like, also not beating oneself up when there is cluttering, because there's a lot of
Oh
shame
yes, thank you. Hmm.
associated with that, right? Whenever I walk into someone's home, and I have many friends and family members whose house is pristine, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do they do that? They don't
Hmm.
have clutter or anything. And mine is like sometimes an organized clutter. I try to limit the clutter in a specific location because I have some art projects, and I don't know if it's a rationalization here, but it's like, okay, it's cluttered
Hmm.
because I'm gathering these corks that I'm going to cover a wall with. So they're all over on this corner. But otherwise, I have other areas that are really um, organized or not cluttered and actually pleasant to be in. So
Hmm.
preserving those areas, but not beating oneself up when we are not feeling successful at decluttering. Because it just adds negative thoughts and self criticism. That's not helpful. I would say just noticing it with compassion. Like,
Hmm.
oh, there's clutter there. My table's cluttered today. I wonder what happened. Yeah, that's why I was very, very overwhelmed with this or that. So, really decoding the clutter and trying to learn from it. And then learning new habits. So, right now, I'm working on developing new habits, not letting things pile up. And it's kind of working. Like, okay, I get mail. I don't let it pile it up. I just open it. And then what do I do with it? Recycling, or I deal with it, you know?
Hmm.
So simple changes that can happen. And um, really thinking about what life do we want? Because in in the US, 1 out of 5 people actually rent storage space. The
Hmm.
first reason being because they're moving, and the second one is because they don't have enough space in their home. But usually it's because there is plenty of space. It's because they have too much stuff. So basically you're paying rent for your stuff. That's
Yes.
Think about it,
That's
right?
an
So
interesting thought that you
right?
should, everyone should really look at. And is this really how I want to do it?
And if you put it in storage, it's because you don't need it for your daily life.
Hmm.
So really keep what you need, what's really sentimental to you, but it should not be filling a storage space like the size of
Hmm.
a garage, right? It's
Right.
just a little bit disproportionate. So, yeah.
While you were talking, I had this thought of, the typical drawer that's in every household, I think, where you just, where am I going to put this? Oh, let's put it in this. And you open the drawer and it's already full and you
If it
press it.
opens, even, right?
If it,
If
yeah.
something gets stuck.
So yeah, the storage space,
Yeah.
the garage, that's, well, that's another level. But
Yeah.
that's interesting. And here I'm trying to build a bridge to relationship clutter
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
and and how
Right.
we can um, enforce boundaries
Mm-hmm.
is sometimes you find yourself being in a relationship with these so-called energy thieves and
Mm.
energy drainers that use you as this um,
Mm-hmm.
drawer.
Oh, yeah.
They
Well
put
said.
their mental stuff into you as a drawer.
Yes. You're right. Powerful. Yeah.
And we know each of us knows someone who
Mm-hmm.
is this energy thief, right?
I think we've been forged by fire, Christopher.
Yes, we have been,
It's
yeah.
all like that.
So these people that tend to contact us to talk to us about things, that's wonderful and that's
Mm-hmm.
very important. Of
Yeah.
course, if we have this relationship and if we have this trust, people's
Mm-hmm.
trust that they can, open their heart to us, that's one thing. That's a good thing. Then, of course, there's these that where you
Right.
actually can feel how
Right.
your energy is just sucked out.
Yes. Oh, wow. This is so important, Christopher, because there is a difference between, yeah, an energy thief who just really drains the life juice or energy out of you versus someone who's venting, but not really trying to have you process this stuff for them or be the junk drawer.
Hmm.
So two people can struggle with a similar situation, but one will just keep rehashing and draining on it, and it's almost like masochistic approach. They don't want to feel better. It's like it's part of their ego.
Yes.
It's actually part of their identity to be the victim,
Hmm.
as opposed to someone who's just like, hey, I'm having a hard time. I know it'll get better, but can I just kind of talk to you about that? And I just need someone to listen. And then, okay, now I feel better. I cleanse, I cried, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
That's different. They might present initially the same, but as it evolves, the energy vampire or thief will just keep dumping stuff. It's like
Hmm.
what they do. And I know people like that. I know. And I've had to create a distance, and I wish you well and I have compassion for you. It sounds terrible,
Hmm.
but it's like, do you actually want to feel better or not? You have the feeling sometimes that people don't want to. So it's important to protect our energies and, yeah, declutter our
Hmm.
relationship landscape from
So
those
how
relationships. Yeah.
so how do you differentiate between these two? So you mentioned uh,
Mhm. Yeah.
that they actually do something to improve their life, right? And some don't, and some do.
Yeah. Well, I would say bring it back to how you feel.
Mm.
Just like you held the object, does that object make me happy?
Hmm.
Well, the relationship, how do I feel when I'm with that person? Do I like
Yes.
myself? Do I like my energy? Does it stimulate something good in me or
Hmm.
not? Or do I feel depleted? Because let's say we have empathy for a person who's having difficulties, and then, yes, they have big problems and we listen to them, but then we admire their resilience because they're trying to make it better. So if we
Very
feel
good
inspired,
point.
we feel energized. So that's a good relationship to keep and nurture.
Yes. So uh, I hear you saying that you look at each and every relationship.
Yes.
Is this giving me? And this is, don't get me wrong here. This is not attempting to be in egoistic in any way, but this has something to do with self preservance, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we have to protect our energies and
Mm.
our boundaries. Yes. I mean, our mental space. We have
Mm.
our own stuff going on. We can't take in everyone else's. We
Right.
can't clutter our mind with other people's problems.
So
Yeah.
does that go also for family relationships?
Oh, wow. Yes. That's a big one too, because in families, we have loyalty ties, we have attachment, we have a history together, we have a future that we want to build together. So we feel like sometimes we have to own the loved ones' problems, but
Yes.
we have to be very careful there. Yeah, especially parents with their kids.
Hmm.
It's natural to want to take in everything that they go through, and also siblings or parents, aging parents, etc.
Hmm.
But it's realistic. We always need to also, yeah, protect ourselves and like do what we need to do to declutter and yeah, limit interactions when it becomes too overwhelming and take a break. That's fine. Yeah.
So would you agree with me that it would be totally okay to also, at least uh, in a for a time, um, stop interactions with really near family members like parents or children if you feel that
Yeah.
this is not healthy for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And I would suggest to communicate clearly about that,
Hmm.
not cutting ties abruptly because ghosting, I feel like it's terrible. It's like silent treatment with no expiration
Yes,
date.
this is this is very important. Could you just emphasize a little more around that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a relatively new term that I've heard over the recent years, like ghosting. It's like when someone disappears from your life and you have no idea why. It's like
Hmm.
out of the blue, like what happened? Did I say something? So there's no explanation. And it's not good to be left dangling like that, to be left in this ambiguity. It's very hard to process
Hmm.
and bring closure. It's very important to be open with the person. Hey, listen, I would like to be there for you, but it's too much for me. So let's take a distance and let's reassess at some point how,
Hmm.
So I think that's more humane, that's more compassionate, that's the best way to do that. But the ghosting, I think it's kind of a phenomenon, whether it's in intimate relationships and date in the dating world, in families, I
Hmm.
mean, with friends, peers at schools, as coworkers. It happened to me to various degrees, and it's very disturbing. I don't
It
think
is. Yeah.
it is constructive for anyone, not the
Hmm.
person who ghosts, not the person who's ghosted. Because relationships are teachers. Whether they end or not, it shouldn't matter. It's like a relationship lasted as long as it needed to teach us something.
Right.
But once the teaching is done, once we've learned a lesson, well, we should part ways in a way that's decent and harmonious
Hmm.
and peaceful. But ghosting is not peaceful. It's like
It
it's
isn't. No.
passive aggression.
Yes. How about romantic relationships
Ah,
and even marriages?
yes. Oh, wow. Again, I can't claim to be an expert on this, even though I have had relationships and I'm in, close relationships and I've been married and it didn't work out. But it was a big teaching for me, big lesson. And still trying to figure that out. And the landscape of our relationships is changing too, Christopher, right?
Hmm.
Like people have all kinds of formats of relationships and arrangements and agreements. So I'm observing and I'm trying to figure out, you know, the truth, even though there's probably not one truth. But it's important to just really reassess everything, like our needs and the
Hmm.
partner's needs, and whether they're aligned or not, and have open communication. I think that's the foundation. And
It is.
empathy,
Yeah.
as you would say, be
Right.
in the moment, listen fully each to each other.
Mm.
I think we're losing that. We lose our listening skills sometimes, but or relationships become stagnant and we just take things for granted. So it's no longer evolutive. So we need
Hmm.
to look at that sometimes. We need to reassess and not feel like a relationship should last forever. I think that's one of the big lessons I've learned is like not feeling like a failure when a relationship doesn't work. It's
Hmm.
because we learned what we needed to learn from that person and from that interaction and not feeling bad about that. Carl Jung said that actually when we are evolving spiritually, a lot of our relationships, or some of our relationships might end. And it is not a mistake. It is not a punishment. It is
Right.
because of the different rate of evolution. So it might actually be a good sign
It
when a relationship
is, yes.
ends.
We are evolving. Each and every one of us is. And well, sometimes you just, in any relationship, I would like to add,
Yes.
it's sometimes it's just better for both to
Mm.
let go.
Let go. Yes, exactly. Letting go is actually, Christopher, an act of love. I mean, you can still love someone, but not want to be in a relationship with them. To
Yes,
me, a relationship has nothing to do with love, and vice versa.
yes.
I mean, I'm connected with people I've broke up with
Hmm.
in ways that are hard to describe.
Hmm.
And there are people I've been with that I was not really feeling in love with. And
Hmm.
it's really important to think about the spiritual connection. That's what
Yeah.
matters, really.
Hmm. Wonderful, he said. Thank you. That's very important there. Cool.
Yeah.
Um, Now, how are we going to build this bridge to digital clutter now?
Yes. Wow. I mean, I think it's kind of an extension of our mental clutter,
Yes.
right? Because all our work documents, our emails, the communications, it's no longer in our head, but it's on a screen somewhere and a, hardware, whatever. So yeah, I would love to hear from you because that's something I'm guilty of. It's a digital clutter. I mean, I'm ashamed to say how many emails I have in my personal and in my work email. I,
Hmm.
I, I don't delete everything because I'm like, oh, I can't deal with it now. But
Hmm.
then it adds up, it accumulates. So I try to delete as much as I can. Plus, sometimes when we work on a big organization, there are all kinds of emails that don't apply. It's hard to just keep up with
Hmm.
the deleting. And also I use emails for writing ideas and stuff. But
Oh,
please
you
share
do.
your
Okay.
thoughts on that because I
Hmm.
don't know how to. It's like I'm swimming, I'm drowning in my digital clutter sometimes.
Well, let me start from at the easy part.
Yeah.
All these newsletters
Oh
that
yeah.
we uh, subscribe to and
Yeah.
think, oh, this is interesting. And then they actually, of course, come. And if you buy anything in a web shop, they usually ask you if you want to have their newsletter, and then you get even
Right.
more and more and more. And not to talk about all these subscriptions that are paid for.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so again, as we
Mhm.
do with the physical space, looking at each and every one of them. Do I
Yeah.
really want to continue?
Right. Right.
And do I need this? Does
Does
it
it make me
really?
happy?
I was just going to say that. Thank you. Does this make me happy? Does this
Yes.
contribute to my well-being?
Right. Is this bringing something, yeah, to my life?
And
Yes.
the same we could do
Hmm.
with our social media accounts.
Oh yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so social media and social,
Hmm.
yes, it is social media account, of course.
Social media.
Like
Hmm.
there's so
Right.
many now. There's TikTok, there's Facebook, there's X, there's Bastion, there's Blue Sky, there's it's Instagram, it's full,
Instagram.
right?
LinkedIn. Hmm.
LinkedIn, right? And so you really need that? Do you really have to be everywhere? And why
Hmm.
is that?
Right. I like that you're bringing this up, Christopher, because it's really relevant. Nowadays, obviously, I think a lot of our interactions take place in social media and also like for the job, more, I mean, opportunities and expansion and to put ourselves out there. It's kind of important. It really adds something. But I think what matters is really the judicious use of social media. So, really, again, being mindful about how we use it, when, how often, for
Hmm.
what purpose, right? So, I try to always like before clicking on the icon, like, okay, what do I want to go see on LinkedIn? Oh yeah,
Right.
it's because I have this to post, or I had this message with that person that I'm,
Hmm.
communicating with, but not just kind of scrolling down because it's easy to lose to waste so much time. Some people once said it's a time sink,
Hmm.
right? It's like
And it
you can.
really is.
It is. Yeah.
Each of these accounts has
Hmm.
they're experts, highly paid experts
Yes.
that
Yeah.
don't deal with anything else than optimizing the algorithms
Right.
to act as a digital drug to you, to suck you in like in the
Yeah.
sink, to
Yes.
make you stay there. That's their
Yes.
business model, and you're
It is.
their victim.
Yes, and those algorithms are scary because that means they're basically in your head. I start
Yes.
seeing reels that pertain to something that I really like, that I'm interested in, and it's like, oh, I want to click on that. And it's so funny, and it's like, but I keep seeing more and more of them, so they know I'm hooked.
Exactly.
So I have to be very careful and like bring myself back in the direct experience,
Mhm.
which is in nature, which is with people, real people, you know.
Mhm.
Yes, there are people like you. I can't see you in person except last year. That was so nice, and I hope it will happen again. But we interact this way, and it's fine, and it's wonderful. Whenever we can, we should also make sure that we have those direct experiences outside of those screens. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And just feel the difference. How does it feel when you actually uh, interact with with real life people or in real life places like nature or with the people you really
Yeah.
feel that they contribute to your well-being instead
Yeah.
of
Right.
using social media.
Yes, and I don't know if you remember, Christopher, during the pandemic and how it was for you, but for us, I mean, my ex-husband was ordering food because
Hmm.
going to grocery store was even, a risk, and I missed that. And so when I went back to grocery shopping, I was just craving the interactions with the cashier. Like it was,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to the self checkout. I needed the human interaction. I
Hmm.
needed to say, "Hey, how are you today? How's your day going?" Or, you know,
Wonderful.
so we're wired that way. We need
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
And I believe, and I'm sure that the cashier always appreciated your nice and friendly words.
Yes, it's a win-win. We both need that. Yes.
Yes. So you actually made people's lives better by just being there and saying
I hadn't
hi.
thought about that.
And
And especially because I like to bag my own stuff, and they're always so grateful. Oh, thank you for helping with the bagging. Sure, I love doing that. I'm not just going to look at them doing it for me. I'm like, I'm going to pitch in.
no one
And
does that here in Sweden.
really,
It's your
I love
own. No one expects it either.
that. Huh. Okay, good.
Interesting.
So the
Uh,
clients, the customers do their own bagging.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
wonderful. That's great. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
The cashier's busy entering stuff and welcoming the next one. We should do our own stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
agree with that.
after all, you're paying for it anyway.
Yes, yes. And you
You're
want to bag it. I have my own way. Sometimes I like to put the frozen stuff together and
mm.
the fragile stuff, not crushing the chips. With
Yeah, exactly.
apples. I I hoard chips.
You do.
My
I
guilty
don't
pleasure these days. Yeah.
I don't hoard them, I eat them.
I do both. I'm very capable of doing both.
That's good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so if we declutter
Mm-hmm.
piece step by step, room by room, jar by jar, relationship by relationship, social
Yeah.
media account by social media
Yes.
account.
Right.
So then there's space there, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah, there is
what do we
space.
fill it with?
Mm.
What do we fill this space with?
Yeah. I would resist the urge to fill it with anything. I would say whatever arises. And because when we have room, we can see the direction we're going,
Hmm.
physical and also mental. So just letting it be for a while, and then whatever needs to happen will happen.
Hmm.
So having that transition time and space is important. Just letting it empty for a little bit and see. Not
So
rushing to fill it.
I had something in mind there.
Yeah.
There's no such thing of
Empty.
like vacuum,
Yeah.
uh, real vacuum here on.
Right.
Of course, there's vacuum in space. Uh,
Sure.
Not really. Well, however, let's not.
No,
uh,
you're right. It's a paradox, right? In Zen
right.
philosophy, like the emptiness, there's no
Mhm.
emptiness. Anyway, yeah, I know what you mean. Yes.
What I wanted to say is, why not fill this with something that encourages you, empowers you, makes you
Hmm.
happy,
Yeah.
and gives you possibilities. Like if
Yes.
there's stuff there in your way, then
Mm-hmm.
you don't have possibilities because there's this wall of whatever you put there, mentally
Mm-hmm.
or physically, that's in your way.
That becomes a barrier to the
Oh,
possibility.
wonderfully said. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
no thing,
Uh-huh.
nothing
Mm-hmm.
means possibilities. Would
Yes,
you
like when
agree?
we talk about nobody, we can be anybody, right? When it,
Wow. Thank
that's
you.
very similar. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh
that's
my God.
cool. So we
Yeah.
can again
Yes.
see this empty space. Let's leave it
Yeah.
that like that, and ask ourselves: do I want to fill it, and with what do I want to fill it? I have this empty space of relationship? Do I want to fill it? Do I want to
Yeah.
fill it with myself? Maybe if you just got rid
Yes.
of your relationship that was unhealthy,
Mm-hmm.
was it a
Yes.
friend or a romantic relationship? And would you be open to fill that space with yourself?
Wow, Christopher, can you elaborate more on that? Because I know you have a lot to say about solitude. So let's say someone is going through a relationship breakup. What would be the advice? What would you say to that person as they become acquainted with the solitude or the emptiness,
Yes.
or the space, the void left by the relationship or the person? What would you tell them?
What did this person give you that
Um,
you are haven't hadn't been able to give yourself?
mhm.
Why did you need this relationship? What is it that this relationship makes it special to you? So if like looking at myself, the moment I realized that I don't need relationships um, to be I'm looking for the word um, appreciated,
Mhm.
I've learned that why not appreciate myself? Why not love myself? That wasn't I didn't even
Mhm.
think about that earlier. But the moment I suddenly saw this
Mhm.
possibility, that opened a whole new space for me.
Um,
So the need to find a relationship or a friend or whatever to
yeah.
give me what I hadn't been able to give to myself, that was mind blowing. That was
Wow.
really and being alone versus being in a solitude, happy to
Yeah.
be by yourself. That's
Mhm.
wonderful, and it doesn't close any doors, right? It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't close a door to a really healthy and good, profound, loving relationship with the right person
Hmm.
that can
Yeah.
lurk behind the next corner. You never know. Maybe you already know the person, and it's
Mm.
just haven't the spark wasn't just there yet.
I just love what you make out of the solitude. It's an opportunity, right?
You're right.
You're turning that into a possibility of getting to know yourself better because there's not the mental noise or ambient noise.
Yes, yes,
You listen to the whispers of your soul, and then it makes you even more ready for the next one, for the next person
exactly.
to be in your life. This is great.
You're
Yes.
making space for possibilities,
Yes. Yes,
like
Doc. Oh,
in with the physical clutter.
yeah.
So that's a very cool feeling, and it's
Yeah.
giving you all the all the possibilities that there are. And
I love
as we
this.
say this, the dog comes to me and wants to be.
Oh, I,
Yeah.
I
He-
think he agrees.
Yeah.
Wow. I think those are wonderful words to conclude that you said that it gives space, it leaves a space or creates space for possibilities. That's what the declutter is about. That's
Yes.
the ultimate aim. Yeah.
So,
Oh.
yeah, to round to conclude even better, what would if if our listeners would like to start, what would be a good way to start?
Well, can I share
The
some?
next step.
Yeah, I would like to share some readings if you think that's a good idea.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because that's my own process. I'm sharing my own process here. I need to make that fun. And what fun means to me is actually reading or looking at good books. So this one is called
Ah,
Minimalism.
yes.
And there's a method like really step by step. This person is, I think, a coach. Yeah, your step by step guide to a better home, wardrobe, and life. And I
Mm-hmm.
have another one and I again it sounds paradoxical because I find books and I'm increasing the clutter. But maybe I can give them away after that.
Oh
But this
wow.
because I'm a romantic, this one is the romantic minimalism.
Simple homes with stuff. That sounds very good.
Simple homes with soul, because this is something that I really find important is to give a soul to my home or whatever space I am
Mm-hmm.
in, even my office space at the clinic. So but anyway, you if you don't know where to start and you like to read, that could be a good idea. But otherwise, I would just say like maybe write down what do you want out of your life? What would you like
Mm-hmm.
your space to be? How do you want to feel when you enter in a room?
Yes.
And I know that I ask myself that questions in my, let's say, kitchen or room, and I want to feel energized or I want to feel serene, rested. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what would that look like then? And then write down some ideas and maybe go systematically corner by corner and have some goals every day. Or take in the book, the first one, Minimalista, she says even 15 minutes at a
Mm-hmm.
time is worth it.
Yeah.
So, and then we build our tolerance after that. It can go to
Mm-hmm.
like 2 hours. I know when I get started now in the evening because I can't be outside, it's dark, it's cold. Then I can't stop until I stop when I'm tired. But find the times of day where you're functioning most optimally
Yes.
and at organizing your stuff. So and really like it's a constant process, right? It's like maintenance. It's like taking a shower, brushing our teeth. We always need to do that, either
Mm-hmm.
preventing the clutter from happening or decluttering our space or noticing there's clutter and we need to change something in our lives because we're just, we're becoming too scattered. And also, like you said, the relationship, the digital, all of that, really
Mm-hmm.
like what you said, does that make me feel happy? Does that make me feel fulfilled? Is that aligned with who I am now?
Mm-hmm.
Like wardrobe or those 10 pairs of shoes. Do I need 10 or can I use three? Which ones I
Mm-hmm.
use often? And I give the rest away. So really it's about
Right.
prioritizing and reassessing our needs because they change too. Yes, what I used 12 years ago, I'm no longer using that. So maybe I can
Mm-hmm.
get rid of it.
Wonderful. That's a great way to start. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So, I think that oh yeah, one point, decluttering shouldn't be just a one-time event, right? This can be
Oh yeah. No.
a life how do you say?
A
It can
task,
be not a task that sounds like a burden almost. Um, a a way of
activity.
life.
Yeah, it's a way of life. Yeah, once yeah,
Philosophy. You mentioned minimalism.
yeah,
Many people that hear minimalism uh,
hmm
see this as something negative, but it's not
hmm
a religion. You
no,
don't have to be like just a mattress in an empty room. No, of course not.
yeah, I agree. What I mean, the way I use minimalism as a philosophy is not necessarily the physical stuff, but it's really learning to find plenty the plentitude or plentifulness, if that's a word, of
Hmm.
life. Uh, and it's more for me, and minimalism is enoughness. It's like, okay, I can stop here. I have enough. For me, that's my version of
Enoughness.
minimalism. Yeah,
That's
that's what,
wonderful.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, enoughness, knowing when to stop.
All right.
So
Knowing.
not
Yeah.
necessarily trying to reduce to a certain fixed amount of things, but knowing when it's fine like this. I don't need to strive for more,
Hmm.
and we're less likely to clutter.
Enoughness. I'm going to write that down. Enoughness. I
Yeah,
love that.
I love that word too.
Like when we're full, when we're eating, and we have this feeling, okay, now I can't eat anymore.
Yeah, why do
And
we have to go to the point of stretching our, our stomach? It could be
yeah.
like, oh, I had this very satisfying, plate meal.
Hmm.
I'm fine now. I don't need more. I'm have gratitude for it. It's
Right.
better to spend time having gratitude. And yeah, and pausing is important because if we don't slow down, we're more likely
Hmm.
to accumulate because we shop mindlessly. We just are on automatic pilot. So slowing down through meditation or through pausing, through noticing what's happening is less likely to lead to clutter
Oh,
because
yes.
we'll be more in the moment
Hmm.
and we'll notice what we have and we'll practice
Right.
enough.
Exactly. Wonderful. Well, thank you, dear audience, for listening to us. And if you have experience with decluttering in whatever field, then we'd be very happy to read your comments about how you
Yeah.
manage this. And if you like this episode, then please leave us a like here and maybe consider following us or share this episode with someone that you think might have any use of this episode and what we talked about. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you,
Wonderful
Christopher.
to
It was
talk with you.
very enlightening as usual. Thank you. Thank you, everyone,
Yes.
for joining us
Thank
today.
you. Yes. Bye bye.
So, bye.